everyone! Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we will talk about Article 7, the Executive Department. First, let's define executive power. It is the authority to enforce orders and to ensure they are carried out as intended. To make it easier for us to understand the executive department, first, let's talk about the Avengers, the Earth's mightiest heroes. Have you ever watched Avengers? The members of the executive department is like the superheroes of Avengers with a wide array of abilities. Now let's meet our superheroes in the executive department. First is the President. The President of the Philippines is like Captain America, the drop-dead gorgeous hero who leads the Avengers. Our President is similar to Captain America. He is the head of the state and the head of the government. As the chief executive, the President exercises control over all the executive departments, bureaus, and offices. He also has an official residence called the Malacanang Palace. Next in line is the Vice President. This is the second highest official in the Philippines. He is like Iron Man, the second in command. Of course, we also have the Cabinet. The Cabinet members serve as advisors to the President. These members are similar to the other members of the Avengers to complete the team, like Black Widow, Hawkeye, the Hawk, and Thor. The Cabinet is composed of the Vice President and the heads of the executive departments. They are nominated by the President and must be confirmed by the Commission on Appointments. Now let's answer the question, how do you become a part of the executive department? To answer this question, it is important to discuss the qualifications of the President and the Vice President. They both have the same qualifications and is elected in the same manner. Here are your qualifications. First, natural-born Filipino. Second, a registered voter. Third, must be able to read and write. Fourth, 40 years of age at the day of the election and must have resided in the Philippines for 10 years before the election. The start of office for the President and the Vice President is on the 30th day of June following the day of the election, and it will end after 6 years, noon of June 30. Both the President and the Vice President can also be removed through impeachment. Let's move on to their term of office. For the President, it is 6 years and can only serve for a single term only and not eligible for any re-election. Now, it is also important to take note that any person who has succeeded as President and served for more than 4 years shall not be qualified for election to the same office. The Vice President can also serve for 6 years and starting and ending the same time as the President. However, he can serve for 2 successive terms and is eligible to run for President. Now, it is important for you to take note of these numbers: 40, 10, 6, 1, 2. So what are these numbers? 40 stands for the age requirement of the President and the Vice President. 10 stands for the number of years that the President and the Vice President must live in the Philippines. 6 stands for the 6-year term office of the President and the Vice President. 1 means that the President can only run for the election 1 time. And then 2 stands for the 2 successive terms that the Vice President is allowed to run. Let's move on to the presidential succession. There is always a chance that tragedy can happen. To ensure continuity and stability of operations in the government, Article 7 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution provides a line of presidential succession. This line follows the order of Vice President, President of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. To understand more about this topic, let's take a closer look at the presidential succession. Let's start with the vacancies at the beginning of the term. If the President-elect fails to qualify or to be chosen, the Vice President-elect will be acting President until someone is qualified or chosen as the President. But if the President-elect dies or is permanently disabled, the Vice President becomes the President. Now, if both the Vice President and the president are not chosen or do not qualify or both die or both become permanently disabled, the Senate President, or in case of his inability, the Speaker of the House shall act as a president until a president or a vice president shall have been chosen and qualified. In case of death or disability of both the members, Congress shall determine by law who will be acting the president. Let's move on to the vacancies after the office is initially filled. If the president dies, is permanently disabled, is impeached or resigns, the vice president becomes the president for the unexpired term. However, if both the president and the vice president die, become permanently disabled, are impeached or resign, the Senate President, or in case of his inability, the Speaker of the House shall act as a president until the president or the vice president shall have been elected and qualified. Let's move on to the vacancy in the office of the vice president. If the office of the vice president is vacant as a consequence of presidential succession, the president shall nominate a vice president among the members of the Congress who shall assume office upon confirmation of the members of the Congress. For example, when former President Joseph Estrada was ousted from Malacanang through People Power II, he was succeeded by the Vice President Gloria Arroyo. Arroyo became the president and the office of the vice president became vacant. The new president, Gloria Arroyo, nominated Senator Teofisto Gingona for vice president, whose nomination was confirmed by the members of the Congress. Now let's talk about the temporary disability of the president. The temporary inability of the president to discharge his duties may be raised in the following ways. First, declaration by the president. If the president himself transmits a written declaration to the Senate President and the House Speaker, the Vice President becomes the acting president. Second, declaration by the members of the Senate. If majority of the cabinet members transmit a written declaration to the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Vice President becomes the acting president. But if the President transmit to the Senate President and the Speaker a written declaration that no inability exists, he shall reassume his office. Third, decision by the Congress. If there is a dispute between the President and the Cabinet members, the Congress will decide. The voting requirement is 2/3 vote of both houses voting separately. If it reaches 2/3, the Vice President will act as the President. But if it fails to reach 2/3 of votes, the President will continue his powers. Let's move on to the last topic that we are going to discuss in this video: presidential illness. If the President is seriously ill, the public shall be informed of the state of his health. The members of the Cabinet in charge of national security and foreign relations and the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines shall not be denied access to the President during such illness. That's the end of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.